the #1 Costa Rica real estate and investment podcast, bringing you experts from all over Costa Rica.
Good morning, guys, and welcome to episode 215 of Costa Rica Real Estate and Investments with me, your host, Richard Beckson. Today, we're going to be talking with Cristina Guerrini. If you've been listening to the podcast for a while, guys, you'll know she is someone that is an expert in residency here in Costa Rica. She's a partner at Bluezone Legal. So we're going to be getting an update on the current residency changes. There's quite a few investor changes here, a lot of applications actually getting rejected. So just going to get an idea from her of kind of what's happening. And also she lives in Nosara, so getting an update on the country's most expensive real estate market and kind of what she is seeing happening there as well. Guys, if you're looking to make any type of investment here in Costa Rica, whether it's buy a piece of land, buy a property here, vacation rental, develop a hotel, feel free to reach out to us. We're more than happy to just have a chat with you and see how we can help you, give you an idea of our services. It's a very unique at what we do. We always say that if you have an idea here in Costa Rica, we can take it all the way through from basically the idea to cash flow. So you can email us info@investing@costarica.com. That's info@investing@costarica.com. Also in the description down below is a link that you can use to organize a time to chat with us as well, a free consultation, guys. So go ahead and do that. But let's get straight into the podcast. Good morning, Cristina. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Good morning. How are you?
Very good, thank you. I just flew in from Guanacaste, so I know you're up in Nosara, right?
Yeah, I'm in San Jose at the moment, but yes,
okay.
I'm usually in Nosara.
Awesome. Well, Cristina, again, thanks very much for taking the time to join us on the podcast. My first question that I always like to ask in the podcast is just to give anyone listening here is kind of just an update of kind of what's happening here in Costa Rica. I mean, there's been quite a bit of volatility in Western markets, politically volatile as well. I mean, but what are you seeing happening here in Costa Rica? And in particular, like, is your workload over the past couple of months increased? Is it slowed down? Like, what are you seeing?
I've seen less real estate transactions for luxury properties and more smaller real estate transactions and more atypical real estate transaction, like people trying to purchase a property through a 99-year lease agreement rather than a purchase agreement.
Okay, well, let's get to that 99-year lease thing in a moment. But I mean, again, you guys deal with a lot of residency as well. I mean, how are residency applications just the volume? Have you seen it slow down? Is it still pretty good though? I mean, what's happening on that front?
I have less clients applying for the residency for many reasons. One, the main one is that now there is a tourist visa of 6 months.
Yep.
And most of the foreigners don't spend a lot more than that in Costa Rica. They usually are here like for the high season. So they're saying, why will I apply for the residency if I can just come and be here on a tourist visa and I don't have to pay the caja and everything? Another reason why they are not applying for residency is high caja rates.
Yep.
Like a rentista right now can end up paying almost $400 in monthly payments for the Social Security in Costa Rica.
That's a lot.
That's a lot, yes. And I'm also seeing many rejections from immigration to residency application. And unfortunately, what I've noticed, and not just me, but many law firms, if not all the law firms that deal with immigration, we are kind of joining forces because immigration is implementing a new rule where they give a response to residency application with a resolution that they call not, that you cannot, they say you cannot appeal the resolution. And they're just denying many residency application for like fake reason, I will say. And I hope immigration doesn't take it against me, but like they're saying, oh no, sorry, the investment is not proved. And I have clients that submitted like a certificate issued by a certified public accountant who has public faith in Costa Rica, demonstrating investment, which is a requirement of the law. And then they have the notary public stating that they own the corporation in which the money was invested. And immigration just saying, no, that's not enough. And of course, they shouldn't do that because, we have a notary public and a public accountant that say that. And that's what the law requires. So unfortunately, immigration is kind of changing the law and without following the due process. The Costa Rican government invests a lot of efforts in implementing Law 9996 to attract foreign investors. And the way it is being implemented is totally different. And this is really a shame.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree here. I mean, it's just, I mean, government, it doesn't matter whether it's here or any type of the world, are very, square, I would say, and, can't think outside the box sometimes, or make decisions based on one hand that affects the others. Like there's a tax decision or a corporate decision that then impacts immigration, as we saw. Somebody asked me yesterday, one of my clients was like, Rich, why is this happening? Is it that Costa Rica doesn't want investors anymore?
I've had this question asked to me so many times, I cannot count. I don't think so. That would be very stupid.
Yeah.
I don't think what immigration is doing reflects the policies of the government.
Okay.
I think it simply reflects the struggle of an institution that has been overwhelmed for years with so many applications and not enough people to deal with them.
Okay. Yeah, so they're just basically rejecting stuff just not to have the work, like, or someone saying, hey, you need to clear this backlog, and they're just clearing it that way.
Exactly.
To
clear the backlog, they created a special task force, and they may also, probably they were not really equipped, so they created draft resolution, and they say, okay, this deny. And I had clients who were denied because legally their corporation was not up to date with the taxes, except it was. So now we have to appeal, and the clients have to wait for at least a year. Well, hopefully not more than a year, but to give you numbers, there are being like 80 appeals per week against resolution issued by immigration. And there are even Supreme Court habeas corpus submitted for certain cases. So
I mean, I think that immigration has really kicked over the hornet's nest. I mean, like with normal folk like me, but when you start playing with lawyers, I mean, you're now into their game, and yeah, exactly. I think it's a very different game that they're playing.
Yeah, I have a very professional lawyer that is in charge of our immigration department, and she's very persistent and very persuasive as well. And she's doing a great job, but still that's not enough. So we really joined forces with other law firms and immigration, especially that have been doing this for like 40 years. And are like, we all have to work together or we will never find a solution.
Yeah.
And even chambers of commerce are acting, Procomer, CINDE, they are all demanding meetings with immigration so that, because this is really a unique situation that I hope is going to end soon.
I mean, you need to get to the president somehow, right? And have him, respond to this. But I mean, I think a lot of people hearing this on the investor residency, I'm sure a few people listening are going to be like, oh, does that mean that, again, I shouldn't go this way of, getting residency in Costa Rica? I mean, what is the easiest way to get residency and the cheapest way to do it, Cristina?
It does not exist.
Okay.
If you ask me, there is no easy or cheap way to get residency.
Well,
what I've noticed is that the rentista category, where you have to demonstrate a permanent, stable, and irrevocable income of $25,000 per month, is the one that is being approved in most of the cases.
You mean, so they have to have $2,500 a month coming in, or they can put $60,000 into a government fee, right?
It is strange. So in the practice, banks allow you to deposit $60,000 as a condition for them to issue the letter required by immigration. But if you ask immigration will say, no, $60,000 is not enough. Because that's if not, you just put 60K and you get them back. But in the practice, it is what the bank allows you to do. So we have to be careful because the letter must have the letter issued by the bank to show proof of the income must have the exact wording requested by immigration authorities.
And are banks doing that in Costa Rica, though? If you put 60,000,
yes,
they are doing that.
Yes, many of them. I'm using La Fise Bank. I'm using BCR, and Scotiabank also has the program.
And I mean, basically, if you have that $2,500 coming in, because it's literally of like, look, you're giving $60,000 to the bank. They're going to give you $2,500 a year. With that, you get the letter. You still get your $60,000 back at the end of 2 years. And then you basically have to reapply again by putting $60,000 in. And then after a certain amount of years, you can move to permanent residency where you don't need to do that anymore, right?
Exactly. The downside is the caja rate.
I was about to say, what is the caja rate? Because you're paying caja on $2,500 a month, right?
Now it's a little less because of the exchange rate. I think we just enroll a client to the caja under the Rentista program, and he ended up paying 175,000 colones, which is a little over $350.
Which,
the thing is, if you consider this applies to the principal applicant, and if he has family members, they can all be included with no additional charge. So if it's a family of 4, like it was the case, at the end of the day, it's not too bad. If it's just an individual, then of course it's a lot of money.
Well, I'd say yes and no. I mean, it's no different than probably private medical insurance, Cristina, to be honest with you. You know, I had a client the other day whose kids, she was like, my kid has a rash on my body. I'm here in San Jose. They live down in Oaxaca. And I was like, well, go to the Hospital de Niños. I'm like, you pay into the caja, go and use it. So she went to Hospital de Niños and she was like, Rich, this is amazing. And I said, well, what's amazing? She was like, we were attended within under an hour. I had my medical stuff, basically the prescription within 5 minutes, and I had no bill. Like, it was spectacular. So yeah.
I have to say, you know, public health care can be amazing in Costa Rica. I've had amazing experience, but I also had terrible experiences on my skin and on my child.
I think with kids, though, it can be very good, though, right?
It depends. So I have one kid with cleft lip and cleft palate. And that is not, that department of the Hospital de Niños of the Children's Hospital is not developed. So he had surgeries in Italy, and many other children from here are going to the US.
Okay.
So, but of course there can be exceptions, and
definitely
in general, I will say that public health care, especially for children, is good. But still, I always recommend having a private insurance.
Yeah, and I mean, there's so many options now with like MediSmart and all these kind of things as well, where you pay like, you know, like $20 a month and also get access to, you know, doctors and everything, where you pay really low rates and stuff. So
exactly. And the other thing that I try to communicate to my fellow expat, because at the end of the day, I'm an expat myself, is, you know, we have the luxury of being able to choose this beautiful country to live and relocate. It's good to contribute with the country. 100%. You're paying the caja, you're helping the country, you're helping other people with lower resources to get healthcare.
Yeah. I mean, I have to pay it every single month for myself, you know, and also all of the employees that we have here in the business. It's painful, but it's kind of, I call it the tax of living, you know, in Costa Rica. So.
Exactly.
I mean, what's happening in the Nosara market at the moment? You've mentioned kind of just there that like the luxury end is not as active, but like, have transactions slowed down dramatically? Are they still happening? What's selling? What's not? I mean, give us an idea, Cristina.
Yeah, so they're still selling. The Nosara market is still hot, but probably since the prices are very high in Nosara compared to other regions of Costa Rica now, and with what is going on in the US and other countries, probably they're not selling too much as they did after COVID. And I've seen more people are buying houses. In the past, I noticed that many people were buying land to develop. And now people are more like, no, I just want home because many people are already here, so they just want a place to live. Nosara has new developments that are new condominiums, and those are pretty hot, I will say. And that was a whole discussion between the community, because of course there's no water resources. At least that's what people are afraid of, you know. The developer, especially I'm referring to Become Nosara, a very famous project, and they dig well, an industrial well and everything. So I've noticed that. So I've noticed many people still investing in Nosara for income. So people that purchase like an apartment in a condominium as to make revenue through rentals. And Nosara is facing certain challenges because of the lack of the plan regulador. And because of the, you know, land maritime zone restriction, the oceanal refugee is also being revised in terms of boundaries. There is a big administrative warning affecting, I think, over 100 properties in Nosara.
Wow.
And the process is on hold while SINAC reviews the boundaries of the oceanal wildlife refuge. And just yesterday, I had a client reach out to me that is interested in a property in the land maritime zone. And I told him, and he said, the seller told me there are no risks. And I'm like, well, yes, there are.
Yeah.
And so it's very delicate. And but Nosara is still a hot place. It's still an amazing place to be. They are paving the roads between the Samara gas station and Garza, which is a big news also.
Wow.
My home is right on that road. So I'm like, yes, finally. So that is a great news, and that is going to have a good impact on many people of the area. So I think it's good. It is still developing. There is also a big discussion in Samara, because I'm also very close to Samara. There is a new project that got the environmental feasibility in Samara.
I saw that, yeah. But there was also some talk of that it got it too quickly, and like
it got the environmental feasibility like in a little over a week.
Yeah, which is not normal.
No. I'm like, I've read on it. I don't have much more information than the public one, but I will be very, very surprised if that goes to an end, because it's a 7 towers project of 10 like floors, I think. It's like, and I'm like, there's not and so many people, there's not a high demand to justify that.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think there could be, I mean, especially, just because there's not that. I mean, look, I think it would be a pimple on the face of Samara. Like, it doesn't have sense of place there. I mean, if you want to do that, do it in Jaco, like it already has it. In Manuel Antonio, the local residents got that Islas project stopped. They were about to do, like, I think it was 20-story towers there, but they took down some of the rainforest to do it and got it stopped, and that was kind of, I think, the preface for the head of, I think it was Minai or something, or Sinac, being removed because of, but I think that's where Costa Rica is at the moment, is that balance between development and protection of natural resources. Exactly. There's just so much money sloshing around at the moment. And I think we're only getting started, Cristina. I've said this to everyone. They think I'm mad when I'm like, look, guys, we're just getting started. Like, go to Hawaii, go to Mexico. Like, Costa Rica is only just getting started. But it's going to be that here, what I typically find is it's not the government that's regulating itself. It's the people then regulate, like, Minai and those things. When they see projects that aren't right, they go, we're going after these guys. So they hire environmental lawyers and they get stuff stopped if it hasn't been done properly.
Yeah, I just hope, I hope it gets stopped, and I hope it gets stopped before damage is done,
Yeah.
We see 3 towers and then the project ends there.
Yeah, we don't want another Sonesta like in Jaco when you drive in.
Exactly.
So, I mean, what do you think the next year holds? I mean, in your crystal ball that you've got there, Cristina, I think, what do you think next year holds for Costa Rica?
I hope there will be more transparency on new developments and more protection of the environment, which is good. Honestly, it's good. I think we will probably the real estate market will be, stable. And I do hope there's going to be a big changes at immigration. So they must find a different solution. So my hope is that after this crisis that we're facing, we're going to have the light at the end of the tunnel. We're going to really see, a proper structured due process and reasonable timing to respond to the application. So I hope that will be the case.
Well, look, I think if there's one thing we know about the current president is, like, he has no issue making enemies and forcing stuff through. I mean, that's kind of been, it very much goes against, I think, Costa Ricans, more humble, passive, way of living. I mean, the current president is not humble and he's not passive by any means, which sometimes to get stuff done, you need. It just gets very difficult sometimes. But yeah, hopefully he will be listening to this podcast, Don Rodrigo, and will then, walk into immigration and tell everybody basically how to do it. So I'll keep my fingers crossed for you on that one, Cristina.
Thank you.
What advice would you give to someone that wants to make Costa Rica kind of their plan B? Again, with a lot of volatility, I would say politically, throughout the world, Costa Rica is kind of seen as a bit of a mecca of, like, nothing really kind of happens here. And I always explain to people of, like, look, Nothing ever happens here because no party really ever has a majority. So, in order to get stuff passed, it takes a lot of people to agree to something, which is not easy. But I mean, what advice would you have for someone looking to make Costa Rica their plan B?
The most important thing is to have the right ally, the right professional assisting you. Can be, a law firm that you trust. And if you're going to build someone like you that helps you develop the project, oversees that and everything. But you must be very careful. You cannot just enter this country and do things the way you're used to and you know how to, because that's not going to work. You must find someone local that is trustworthy. That's my biggest advice. And what I tell my clients when they are investing in the country and they're like, oh, well, but now what do I do for immigration? Do I put it in my name or my corporation name? What do I do? And I'm like, your goal should be to protect the assets. Yep. Don't worry about immigration. We will find a solution on an immigration standpoint, but your goal is to protect the assets. So think about what is best for you and how you want to protect the asset, and then we will find a solution for immigration.
That's great advice. That's great advice. Well, Cristina, my last question for you is that I love to ask everyone. If you inherited $500,000 and you had to invest it into a business or real estate in Costa Rica, what would you invest it in and why?
I will still invest in the real estate market. Not Nosara, because $500 is not enough to make a big investment in Nosara, but other areas and probably like a rental income.
Where would you invest, Cristina? I know everybody, I always try and push people on this just because, again, a lot of people listening here, are like outside Nosara. That means, the rest of Costa Rica. So, I mean, which areas would you,
Not to go too far, Ostional is developing.
Yep.
And properties there are seeing their value increase. So it could be a good place to invest.
Okay.
So probably the area. Or there is, like in between Nosara and Samara, that whole Barco Quebrado area and everything. And now that they're paving the road, the value of those properties is going to go up.
I agree. Well, Cristina, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the podcast as always. Anyone that wants to get in contact with you, I'll put all your contact details in the description down below. But thanks very much for your time, Cristina.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
No worries. Bye. Guys, great update there from Cristina on kind of what's going on in immigration. It seems like a bit of a crapshoot at the moment, but I've got a feeling that in the next coming months or maybe year, all this will get sorted out. Enough pressure and enough lawyers putting that pressure on. Again, this country is run by lawyers, and a lot of the Congress people here are lawyers, as I'm sure that they are in the rest of the world. But, just some good input there from Cristina. And also, it's Nosara continues to be a hotspot area, and where she would invest in kind of, I think, areas north and south of Nosara. That area is not going to slow down with regards to investment. Easily accessible. And again, I like it from the point of view of there's a lot of families relocating there. There's a great community. It's not so transient as other areas. So it's actually, it has some benefits when investing there. Guys, if you've enjoyed the podcast, please give us a thumbs up, 5 stars. Just again, it's great to have the support, pass it round. Very much appreciate. I bumped into someone yesterday in a restaurant, a guy named Jerry from Playa Grande, just reached over and said, "Hey, Rich, I just want to say great work on the podcast." And it was really nice for somebody just to turn around. So if you ever see me out on the street, guys, I'm constantly traveling around. Please don't hesitate, just come over, just introduce yourself. And yeah, it's an absolute pleasure to do this and get that information out there. Remember, if you need anything from us, guys, info@investingcostarica.com, info@investingcostarica.com. Until the next podcast, we'll catch you later. Bye.
The #1 Costa Rica real estate and investment podcast, bringing you experts from all over Costa Rica.